Good morning. It's day 6 for me at the Fringe. Yay! Sexy morning face. Yeah. Three more shows to do. Three more shows to do for fresh up the stalls before I do 5 shows today. Yeah, maybe doing 5 shows a day for several days is a bit much. But it's great. It's great, but it's exhausting. But what would the Fringe be without a bit of tiredness induced delirium? So yes, anyway, I'm just going to get straight to it. So the free shows I'd seen yesterday that I have yet to do video reviews for is going to happen now. So video reviews, la la la. First person I saw was Dandy Darkly with his myth mouth. Right, I saw Dandy in a Fringe preview last year for the first time, and he's a cabaret storyteller, and he's just absolutely amazing. And the show that he's got here this year is still, well, it's not still, it's a new show. This one is also absolutely amazing. I don't know anyone who can tell a story quite like Dandy. There is so much detail with rhyming, with meter, with rhythm within them, and the stories themselves are wildly imaginative, incredibly sometimes quite witty and satirical. And the way he tells them, and he's dressed in these glorious, and I mean absolutely glorious outfits, and he's got this wonderful, exuberant personality, which is just difficult not to fall in love with. And you're just hooked. You're hooked right into these stories, and they're fun, they're twisted. Sometimes they're quite dark. And you're there every bit of the way. He is completely engrossing. He also does everything to this wonderful pre-made music track. And you would think that doing something to a pre-made track, that everything is very, very meticulous in what you're doing, would kind of take away from that personality, but it really doesn't. There is enough room in the track for Dundee to make quick responses or adjustments where needed, so it still has that sense of spontaneity. But the music really does add an atmosphere as well. It's kind of the final cherry on the Dandy Darkly cake. It just really makes the stories even more enveloping. An absolutely amazing show. He's a real find on the Fringe. He's doing the free Fringe down at CC Bloom's in Newtown side of thing. It's the town that is new. It's Newtown. So see him. He absolutely deserves a great audience, and he absolutely begs to be seen. There's nothing else quite like him, as far as I'm aware, on the Fringe, as far as this fabulously sequined, exuberant, dark, completely engrossing and involving storyteller. He is an absolute legend. Clearly 5. I can't give anything less after that, glowing review. So 5 stars for Dandy Darkly's Myth Mouth. Myth Mouth. So absolutely get down to see it. Also, I just want to say, I decided I'd do a review in a different part of the flat. Ooh, variety! Anyway, the second show I saw that I need to do with Fingers is the Kinsey 6 with the Lady Cocks of Bang Boys. So the Kinsey 6 are a dragapella beauty shop quartet. So they're 4 drag queens doing close harmony barbershops quartet style singing. And it's a lot. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. Don't expect anything too wholesome. It's drag. It's really bloody filthy. And the singing of them all is just absolutely fab. It's a real barbershop quartet or close harmony singing, completely unaccompanied as well, a cappella. It's very difficult to do, and they do it really, really well. The songs themselves are really quite fun. They're usually cheeky, dirty takes on standard sort of songs from various different. I need more coffee. And they're fun. They're cheeky. The only problem I have with the Kinsey 6 is a problem that I have always moaned about with North American shows, is that they're very stiff in a way that everything is very meticulous, everything is very sort of and very much so with the Kinsey 6. So they kind of get up, they sort of say their piece, they say their parts. It's like a play, but a drag thing. It's and I know that works great for the American audiences. They're established. They are a slick group. They know what they're doing. It's just that the British sensibility, and especially with drag, there's a lot more dynamic. There's a lot more back and forth. There's a lot more spontaneity, and that's kind of we're our country that has grown up on panto. We like that interaction, and it just doesn't have that. It just kind of they do things. There's audience interaction, but everything seems very not formulaic. Well, yes, no, formulaic and planned. There's no and it's a difficult one to talk about because when we're talking about cultural difference in performance arts and how audiences respond, and I think that really is there. But it's just like I loved the songs. Some of them were going a bit too far in the realm too filthy, but it's a drag show. You can't really moan about that. If you're a prude and going to a drag show, what the heck are you doing? It's just I sometimes felt it was just a bit obvious with some of the filth, but still really fun. So I mean, I'm going to be quite grumpy on this one. They are a great act to see. And it's really great to actually hear them in person. I'd only ever seen them on YouTube up until this point. But I just think that the format of the show, as much as they're really great at doing what they do for an American audience, I know these are hideous generalizations. If anyone wants to slap me down on this, they absolutely can. But yeah, it just doesn't have that vibe that is... that the British sort of drag shows have. So I'm actually going to give it 3 stars out of 5. And that is me being quite grumpy. But that doesn't mean... I don't want to discourage anyone from going to see them because it is still a good show. It's still a great laugh. It's just not as great as it could be, especially when compared to, let's say, someone like Myra Dubois, who I think is one of the best drag queens working at the moment. And I'm actually gutted I've not got time to see her at the Fringe. I'll see it back in London. It's fine. So yeah, 3 stars for the Kinsey, 6 the Lady Cocks of Bang Boys, but it is good fun. Don't let that star rating discourage you whatsoever. It's still a really good show. And then the last thing I saw was Phil Dunning, the People's Prince. I'm going to be a bit honest. I was pretty damn tired by the time I arrived at Phil Dunning. So, I mean, everything I say now is with the fact that I do realise that my state of mind might have affected what I was reviewing. So I'm going to try and be as objective as I can, having an evening to sleep in it. So Phil Dunning does a sort of absurdist sketch show. So he brings on characters. They do really odd things. It's funny. And then he goes off, comes out with another character, do some things. Funny. It's a bit like a kind of drag Mighty Boosh, and I think that's exactly how the PR described it to me, actually. But kind of a bit more oblique. So, yeah, I was so tired and kind of I didn't get up. I was the only one in the entire audience last night who didn't get up to conga. I mean, for starters, never expect anyone reviewing the show to get up and participate. A, it's awkward. It's like, well, I'm supposed to be seeing the show, I'm not supposed to be being the show. And B, kind of like, we're grumpy bastards. This is like, we'll sit there going like, you want me to get up in conga? No. Don't make me. I have a lovely anecdote about Lardo, which is a fantastic play at the Old Red Lion, where it was kind of a wrestling thing, and they were trying to get everyone to cheer along with the wrestlers. And just press night, everyone was just going like, go on, try. But yes, so I didn't conga, but that doesn't mean it was a bad show. I'm digressing. There's some really nice, funny bits in it, and I did laugh through the grumpiness and through the tiredness, and there are some really nice things there. My only problem with it is that some of the stuff lacks variety. There's a thing where Phil will come on, do a character, say something that was really kind of non sequitous, and then leave, and that kind of became the trope. It's like, I've said something weird, and now this part of the sketch ends, and then it happens again a few times. It doesn't happen with all of them, but it's just kind of like, it gets into too comfortable a rhythm. Also, but there was a nice structure to it. Every so often, the character come out and kind of do a sort of weird song about who they are, and that kind of had a nice direction, had a nice thing to it. As far as sort of absurdist comedy goes, it's good fun. It's funny. It is funny. I laughed. I did laugh. I laughed more than once, which is good. But it was just nothing that really surprised me. So there was nothing that I came off, oh, that was really funny, that was just completely out of left field. It's sort of like, this is funny, it was good. House full of chips, anyone? That was my favourite part of the show. I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, so I'm going to, and I will say, this is because I'm a bit grumpy, but I think objectively, I think there are more dynamic, more sort of out there, more and funnier shows. That's not to say Phil Dunning is not funny. He is funny. It is a funny show, but it didn't bowl me over, and whether that's because, and I think that is a mixture of me being a bit tired by that point of the day, but also because, objectively, I think it could be better. It could be a bit more variety. It could be a bit more out there. So 3 stars for Phil Dunning, The People's Prince. So that's Dandy Darkly, 5 stars. Kinsey 6, The Lady Cox of Bang Boys, 3 stars. And Phil Dunning, The People's Prince, 3 stars. I've gone over 10 minutes. Shenton will be appalled that I've gone over 10 minutes. No one's going to watch this video. No!